don't be an energy vampire. And what I mean by that is you have to bring the energy. Show that you're passionate about the topic, because if you're not passionate about the topic, your audience is going to see that and they are going to check out. They do not care. So let your passion for the topic shine through when you're talking about it. Really care about what you're saying, and care a little bit less about seeming professional and a little bit more about showing your audience why they need to care about what you're saying.
On today's episode of The Claw, I speak with a Liger, Ingrid Schmidt. She's responsible for all of our audio video at Liger, and she gives us some great tips on making sure that you're not creating deadly videos, meaning that they're going to be deadly to your career. So tune in and find out if you're making any of these mistakes, and that way you can stop them and not do them in the future. Welcome to The Claw, the marketing podcast for C-suite executives. I'm Eric Holtzclaw, Chief Strategist for Liger Partners, and I am joined today in studio by a very special guest. I have Ingrid Schmidt. She is one of our producers. Is that what we call you that, or is you like have an official title, another like Liger title?
My official title is Video Production Manager, and my fun title is AV Quarterback because I'm really good at football.
Are you?
No.
Good, because I'm not either.
I was once a sports analyst, though, and I didn't know anything, but I would say taking it to the house obsessively.
Would you just?
That was the one phrase that I knew, and I was like, and then they took it to the house.
Is that when they would like score a touchdown?
Yeah, like a really long one.
Okay. Yeah, I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and I said something about not liking baseball and that I hoped it didn't go into overtime.
Perfect.
And they're all like, extra innings. It's like, yeah, extra innings. But anyway, we're off topic. So Ingrid is typically behind the camera. She's the one producing the shows and makes everybody look great and fixes all of my terrible mistakes. She also has a lot of video on me that could show up somewhere at some point, and it would be damaging to my career. Or maybe the best thing ever, because it could be viral, right?
Exactly.
Who knows? And so that kind of gets into our topic today. We're going to talk about deadly video mistakes.
Yes.
And not like deadly people died on video mistakes, but deadly video mistakes, like mistakes that make your video just terrible.
It's true. Your career may die if you make these mistakes.
So there is danger involved. Your career could become a zombie.
Yeah. For sure. It's on the line right now. We're going to save you.
So, and this is always a conversation I have. So which zombie would it become? A World War Z zombie, a Walking Dead zombie, or a I Am Legend zombie?
I don't really know any of those. I'm not a zombie expert. I watch Love Island for fun.
Okay. You haven't watched any of those zombie movies?
No.
Okay.
I live under a strange rock.
All right. Okay. Well,
yeah, I don't really have any context. Maybe maybe a Love Island zombie where you like only use the word like and you talk about vibes all the time.
Got it.
Like the video just had a really bad vibe. I just didn't understand it.
Okay, this whole podcast was worth just that one little thing right there was worth the whole thing. So deadly video mistakes. So let's kind of get into your list. So what's your first deadly video mistake?
Top mistake, don't be an energy vampire. And what I mean by that is you have to bring the energy. Show that you're passionate about the topic, because if you're not passionate about the topic, your audience is going to see that and they are going to check out. They do not care. So let your passion for the topic shine through when you're talking about it. Really care about what you're saying. And care a little bit less about seeming professional and a little bit more about showing your audience why they need to care about what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's the one of all the things, because I used to be a kind of behind the scenes guy, and then getting out in front and being worried about, the professional versus the whatever. I can see that being a challenge, specifically in a lot of the work we do.
Yeah. You just kind of have to relax. Remember that you're talking to a person. And also remember, most things aren't live when you're doing corporate video. So just relax. They'll edit it out if it's terrible. Like, usually I'm the one editing it out if it's terrible. So trust me. And just relax. Talk to your audience like you're talking to like a coworker or a friend.
Yeah, just like you and I sitting across the table. Though we did say we were going to stare directly into the camera and talk to each other, but not actually look at each other, which would be a great sort of Saturday Night Live skit, don't you think?
I think so, yeah.
So like, yeah.
I mean, that would go with the Halloween theme because it'd be really freaky.
Yes.
That's another video sin. It's not on my list, but I have had people stare into the camera during an interview, and I'm like, you have to look at your interviewer, and their eyes trail back, and that is freaky. As the audience, don't stare into the camera. Pretend the cameras do not exist, because there's nothing freakier than me talking to you while I'm staring dead into the soul of the audience.
Don't you think we should just do this the rest of the show?
Absolutely, I do.
That would be the nice little clip. All right, so what's number 2?
Number 2 is make the topic understandable. And you want to be especially conscious of that when you're in a very technical field.
Okay.
I had a professor once tell me that your audience is stupid. And so you have to explain it like you're explaining it to like a 3rd grade level. And that's not talking down to your audience. It's making sure that you're taking this technical knowledge that you hold and making it understandable to the average person. Because if they can't relate to what you're saying, if you're using a bunch of industry terms, it doesn't make you look smarter. It makes you look like you think you're better than them and that what you're saying is going straight over their head and they're turned off by that. So when you are talking on video, you want to make sure that you're understandable, you're relatable.
Yeah, it makes you approachable. And that's why, I often get king of, I can't even say the word, analogies, this is like this. And I do it because it just simplifies it for the person. If you can use something they're used to or know, then they're, it's like that. I got it, right? And it is hard to get out of the industry term talk because you use it every day. Like you say words that you don't even realize are not really words.
Yeah.
And that's where I could see like leaning into someone like you that's listening and recording it and saying, hey, so what'd you think about it? You're like, well, I don't know what that word means, right? Like having them kind of double check it as you're going through it.
Yeah, no, there's nothing better as a producer to not be afraid to tell the client, hey, I don't really understand anything you just said. Yeah. I need you to explain it like I'm stupid.
Talk to me like a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, don't use like the tone of voice.
Don't talk down to me. Yeah. But yes. But explain it to me like I don't know what it is. Okay, good. So I'm trying to keep lists as we go through these because we've done several shows that are like this to kind of educate our audience. And so the first one is I've forgotten the first one already.
Don't be an energy vampire. Bring the energy.
Oh, that's why I forgot it because I have to work really hard on that. Like, I'm typically kind of like a more low-key guy, And then it is a stage. Like you're performing, you got to use voice inflection and slow it down, which is a hard thing for me to do. So, okay. And then the second one is you shouldn't like use big terms. You should make it simple for your audience. Don't bore them to tears.
Exactly.
Nice.
If the audience is crying because they're bored.
Or asleep.
Or asleep. Right. It's not good.
Yeah, if they're using your video to go to sleep at night, you might have a problem.
That could present an issue.
Yeah, that's like somebody was talking about how it's made earlier today, and that's my favorite because it's like very monotone, and they call everybody the same thing, and so you do learn things, but it is kind of boring.
Yeah, but if you're tired, you're gone.
Oh, you're gone. Yeah, you're out. Okay, so what's number 3?
Don't be a ghoul. So don't be scary. You're also communicating non-verbally with your audience when you're on video.
Yeah.
So you do have to be conscious of what you're doing. So you don't want to be, fiddling with jewelry. You don't want to be, you don't want to look nervous. And another tip that is, especially if you're doing a video style where you are looking into the camera, make sure your eyes are not darting back and forth. Because when your eyes are darting, you look really nervous, and then the audience doesn't trust you.
Right.
That's what I learned as a reporter. They were like, when your eyes are darting back and forth to your confidence monitor, they're like, your audience doesn't trust anything you're saying.
To your confidence monitor.
Oh, so that's like...
Well, I need a confidence monitor. Someone buy me a confidence monitor. I don't even know what one is, but I want one. Yeah.
They show the program of like what's going out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're seeing...
So you're seeing like what's yourself kind of and like
Got
what's
it.
going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my problem with using a teleprompter is that when I use a teleprompter, my eyes move just slightly.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody who, they submitted a video resume and they had done it at their house or whatever. And they had used maybe a teleprompter, but there was certainly like a piece of paper that was below the camera.
Yeah.
And they were like, like that, and it's like that's very distracting.
Yeah.
So it's not as much I didn't trust them, but I was just like, where's his eyes going to go next? So
Yeah.
what's it going to do?
Yeah, and when you look nervous on camera, people are thinking about, oh my God, they look so nervous, and they're no longer hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, they're probably having like secondary anxiety for you.
Yeah, secondhand anxiety.
Secondhand anxiety. I will switch the television if I start to have secondhand anxiety for somebody. Like, oh my gosh, I can't watch anymore.
Yeah.
All right, so that's number 3. Don't be a ghoul.
Yes.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is don't be underprepared or overprepared.
Okay.
So you don't want to go in blind to your video because then you're going to look unprepared. People will know. You no longer look like an expert. But you don't want to be over-prepared either. So what I mean by that is you don't want to be like glued to this piece of paper.
Right.
Like we don't want me to be reading this the entire time because then I look really underprepared, even though I really did over-prepare. And another thing is, if you are a guest and you are provided questions that you will be asked, do not, under any circumstances, memorize your answers.
Yes.
I've had that happen before, and it looks so bad. You think that you're preparing yourself, but really you are just trying so hard to remember your canned answers. And then if the interviewer throws you a follow-up question, that knocks you off your game because now you have to come up with something. So do not memorize answers. Don't be so stuck on the script that you are going to freak out if something changes, because especially in an interview style, something is going to change.
Yeah, if I interview you, something is going to change. So when I did the radio show for several years, and I would have guests on, and some people get freaked out about it, right? They want to be super prepared. So like, what questions are you going to ask? Or da-da. And I had a standard set of, I will probably ask you these kind of questions, because I would always ask people about their past, what they were doing now, what they plan to do in the future. Really easy. Like, it's about you, it's about your company. You should be able to answer that. And then they'd come in with like 6 pages of notes. Yeah. And I would tell them when they walked in, I'm like, you're not going to need those. Like, if you bring those notes out, you're already in trouble, because they can't. How do you keep up? Because you have no. I might jump around. You might say something interesting that makes me want to talk about something else, and it's very hard to prepare for it. And it is for certain personalities. That's tough because they're used to that. They want to do that. I wish I could memorize it. I can't memorize a script like that. I have this perfectionist thing, and if I don't say it exactly the right way, so I have to like know what I'm going to say, but not necessarily how I'm going to say it. So I guess in the news world, you guys had to like say it a specific way.
Yeah, usually. I mean, sometimes my brain would autocorrect words to be different when I was reading the prompter.
But those are the best bloopers, aren't they?
I have some great news bloopers.
We'll have to dig those up.
Oh, yeah. They for sure live on a flash drive somewhere, and I could find them for you.
I could. That's gotta be. Yeah, that's the best. All right, cool. So we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we get back, you've got a few more to share with us, right?
I certainly do. Some more deadly
video mistakes. And we're not talking about deadly video mistakes. We're talking about mistakes that might kill your career, a small thing like that. So you're listening to The Claw. I'm Eric Holtzcott, Chief Strategist at Liger Partners. I'm talking today with a very special guest, Ingrid Schmidt. She's typically behind the camera, not in front of it. We'll be back in just a minute.
Thanks so much for watching the Claw podcast. We'll be back after this short break.
When I first met the Unicorn Marketing Agency, everything was rainbows and, well, unicorns. They promised overnight marketing results for my business, leads my sales team couldn't keep up with. Once I signed up with them, they didn't even hold up any of their promises, even after months. And the only thing they gave me were excuses. After a while, communication with them became spotty and they were hard to get a hold of. Eventually, they stopped responding altogether. Overall, I lost a total of about $23,000 over a 4-month period. And I lost a lot of valuable time and energy.
And we're back. You're listening to The Claw, the marketing podcast for C-suite executives. I'm Eric Holtzclaw, Chief Strategist at Liger Partners, and I'm joined today by Ingrid Schmidt. She is our video production manager, and what did you say your other?
AV quarterback.
AV quarterback, and she knows a lot about football.
I sure do. I'm taking it to the house right now.
She knows as much about it, I think, as I do. So we're talking about deadly video sins.
Yes.
Did I say that right? Video sins? Did I just make it up?
Mistakes,
sins. Okay.
Same thing. You're going to die either way.
Either
if
way.
you do 'em.
Yeah, your career is going to die. Specifically if you're putting together like video you want to use for your business or otherwise. And so going through kind of thinking about things that you should avoid. And so what's our next mistake?
Asking scary, bad questions. So, if you are interviewing someone, you do not want to ask yes or no questions. Do not enable your guest to answer you with just a yes or no, because a lot of people will do it.
Yeah, you're giving him an easy out.
Yeah.
I was sharing with you before we started, I had one guest on the radio show that's all no matter what question I asked him, because I knew how to ask an open-ended question, he would be like, yes, no. And at the break, I was like, dude, this is radio. You got to talk. And it's your chance to shine anyway. Like, wouldn't you want to do that? But if you have a bad interviewer, they'll do that.
That's true. Yeah. And I am a person who, I don't do it so much anymore, but when I was in college and we were practicing interviewing, they were asking me yes or no questions, and I literally answered with, yep. And the professor pulled me aside, and she was like, Ingrid, I love you, but you're the worst interviewee I've ever seen.
Because you would just give them what they...
They asked me a yes or no question. I don't know what to tell you. My answer was yes.
Yeah, so thinking through, and that does fall mostly on the interviewer. It does also help, I notice, and this may be one of your tips, so if I'm giving it away, I love working with clients where you have someone off camera who's asking questions, because it does help them to know how to kind of say the next thing or move them through the flow and makes them more comfortable.
Yeah.
But you have to ask something that's got a drop off that lets them fill in.
You do. And then on the other hand, when you're being interviewed, try to, especially when your interviewer is off camera, you want to restate the question for them, because that looks better in post-production when people cut out the interviewer. Then it's a full sentence. It looks like you yourself just came up with that beautiful statement.
Magical idea.
Yes. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I have the best idea. Let me tell you about it.
The best way to do this is this. Yes. Yeah. Nice. Okay. What's the next?
The next one is having a scary bad script. So if you are doing a scripted video, no matter how great your post-production is, if the script is bad, then the video is going to look bad. Or if the concept is bad, it's going to fall flat.
But I thought you fixed everything in post-production.
I mean, yeah, I do have magical powers, me personally, so you would have to come to Liger in order for it to be fixed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I tell every client, if they say enough words, we can make them say anything.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day. So.
For sure. But like if you're doing a scripted video, you want the script to be strong. So you'll have to go back and watch the episode with Jackie Chisholm to hear about all of the great writing things that you should be doing.
Oh, nice. Look at how she plugged. I like that kind of cross. We should have like what the shows used to cross over. Is that something that you know about? Or is that before your time? When we had sitcoms and they'd show up on each other. Mm-hmm. In that category, so it's typically a writer or someone that you're going to work with that would write the script piece?
Yeah, and then if you are writing it, another tip is read it out loud, because a lot of the times if you are writing voiceover, writing for paper is different than writing for like broadcast. Yeah. So you want to make sure that it's going to flow off of your tongue.
Yeah. that's a tip for writing in general. So I like to print a piece that I've written, and then if I can read it out loud, you can find places to clean it up.
Oh, yeah.
So I like to print the things I've written and read them from a piece of paper. That's how old school I am.
Oh, I do too.
It's just like something different. Yeah, they're just different. You notice things you don't notice on a screen. That's just, Okay, what's next?
What's next? Don't shoot in a haunted house. So what I mean mean by that?
But what if your video's about haunted houses?
Well, there is an exception to that rule,
Okay.
and it's if you're shooting a ghost show.
Okay.
You know.
So if I'm ghost hunting, then I can do this.
Yeah,
Yes.
or if if our building was haunted, I mean, you wouldn't know.
Right.
Maybe there are ghosts walking around in our building, but anyway, if your location is bad, your video is probably not going to look great.
Again, I thought you could fix everything in post-production.
I mean, I personally can't. But, not everyone
Right.
will.
Okay. Got it.
But so if you're doing an office video and you don't clean up the office before you shoot it, if you're not having people posed in the background who know they're being on camera, it's probably not going to look as good as if you cleaned up your office and you told your employees, hey, you're on camera, look like you're having fun at your job, because otherwise you get people like
Sitting around,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that your location is good. Pay attention to everything in the background, because people will notice that stuff. If it looks messy, people are going to perceive you as messy, and so you want to make sure that everything is nice and tidy.
Yeah, I'm amazed at the number of videos that I'll see that have some kind of distracting thing in the background and it's going to be there the whole time. You're just like, oh, and that plant that looks like it's growing out of their head or whatever is like sitting there, and they've got to they could have gotten rid of it, and now you might be able to get rid of a plant in post production.
Yeah, you could do it.
You could.
It would be a lot of effort, but you could. we charge you more money.
And it might make parts of it look weird where you've got taken that thing out. So yeah. Okay. All right. So what's next?
Spooky bad editing. So if the editing is bad, it will impact your final product as well. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. So some examples of that is, you're dealing with the footage you've got, but you want to make sure that the colors look good. That's something we can fix in post. Bad
colors. Talk to me about that a little bit.
The colors. So when you're editing a video, you can color correct it, make them look more vibrant, or you can give it kind of like a dull wash. You can make the colors look like whatever you want.
Nice.
In post.
Okay.
So you want something, or you can do black and white, whatever the vibe you're going for is. You want to make sure that you're kind of matching. Also, music plays a really big impact in what the finished product is like.
Yeah.
Music makes a big difference. And some of that is personal preference. I've picked out songs before that I'm like, this song is absolutely perfect. And the client's like, actually, I'm not a fan of the song. Change it out. I'm like, I'm a little bit offended, but yeah, I'll do that.
It is amazing though how
Yeah.
you'll have like a voice and a video, and then you just add a little bit. It's just like it's adding salt. It's like adding a little bit of salt to the video, and just a slight bed of music.
Yeah, because it can make you feel happier or it can make you feel sadder. And so you want to make sure that you're picking music that matches the video and kind of enhances whatever is being said.
Yeah, and I don't know if this tip is on your list, but using professional voiceover talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that you can go. There's a couple websites where you can get a voiceover really cheaply for what the final product is going to sound like. You may think you sound good, but not always. And the cool thing about the voiceover places is you can get multiple people to read for you, and you sort of audition them, and then you buy like a perpetual license of it. That works out well. Was that one of your tips?
It wasn't, but that is an excellent tip.
Like,
make sure the voiceover
don't have a
is
squeaky
good.
voice.
Yes.
A
I
scary
love
voice, A scary voice.
it. A creepy voice.
Creepy voice. Maybe I could hire voiceover talent just to voice over all of my podcasts.
Oh, perfect. That'd be super easy to like sync your mouth to
So,
it.
yeah. All I do is just say elephant, elephant, elephant,
Oh.
elephant. See, like the whole time,
Yeah.
and then they could say whatever. All right.
Yeah.
I think we went down a rabbit hole there. All right. And so you got one more, maybe?
One more.
All right. What is it?
It's not making the most out of your video content. So
Shocking.
I know. So once you have a fabulous video, you want to get the most out of it. So you want to make sure you're posting it on any platform that is going to support video, your video will perform there. You also want to make sure if you're doing a long form video like this podcast, we're going to cut it up into clips and then we're going to use those.
Yes.
So so not only are we getting a full length podcast, but we're getting like 4 or 5 clips that you can air at any time and call back. And so if you're talking about video on social that week, You can be like, oh my God, look at this great clip from this super cool podcast we
Right.
did.
Yeah. Or if you have like an actual scary video, you can be like, you should have watched this video before. You should not have done this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I like about the podcast or kind of long form video format is it allows you, it's like having a bunch of ingredients in the kitchen because you can turn it into a blog and little bite-sized pieces and feed social. And I'm always amazed. I talk about this all the time of people who go give a presentation, they get it recorded and they're like, oh, thank goodness that's over. And they never bring it back. And, and you have no idea if your audience is interested today or if they're interested in 6 months in that topic. So continuing to bring the content back and get it in front of your audience is a smart way to use what's typically a pretty expensive piece to put together.
No, video isn't cheap, so you got to make sure that you're getting the most out of it.
Maximum return.
So
nice.
Another way to do that is making it evergreen. So making sure, like, this is a Halloween themed episode, but you'll notice there's not like pumpkins and stuff, so that we can use this whenever.
Right.
When we clip it up, she can air them in April. And it'll be totally applicable.
Totally, especially since it's all just about deadly videos too.
Exactly.
Shark Week.
Oh, yes.
You could do it in Shark Week.
You're right. I'll give it like a red color wash.
That's right. And Vanessa, our marketing person, loves Shark Week, so that'd be good. Just right up her alley. Okay, so with other Ligers that I've interviewed, I kept up with what they said.
Amazing.
You have a very long list.
I do.
I'm not even going to try. So why don't you recap for us? So Ingrid's top ways to avoid a deadly video.
Yes. Number one.
This is kind of like the David Letterman list. Do you remember the top 10 list of David Letterman? No? Okay, of course not.
I told you, I live under a strange rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's also, I'm learning more and more that my pop culture references may be old. But yeah. All right. Yes, what's your list?
Don't be an energy vampire. Bring the energy. Number 2, make the topic understandable. You want to relate to your audience and not talk down to them, but act like they don't know what you're talking about and you have to explain it. Don't be a ghoul. So be conscious of your nonverbal communication and what body language you're giving out. And don't make scary eye contact with the camera. Don't be underprepared or overprepared. Do not, under any circumstances, memorize your answers to your questions.
Not under any circumstances.
No. You will die. A deadly video.
That is a deadly video.
Asking scary bad questions. So make sure that the questions you're asking are relevant and they're not yes or no questions. They're open-ended. Having a scary bad script. So use your writing skills. Make sure you're reading your script out loud, and that way you know that it'll present well when people are watching it. Don't shoot in a haunted house. So if your location is bad, your video is going to look bad. Be conscious of your surroundings.
Unless you're doing a show about a haunted house.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was clear. Okay.
We'll put a disclaimer at the
disclaimer,
bottom of the screen.
This video is about haunted houses, so it's okay that it's in a haunted house.
Yeah. Spooky bad editing. So make sure that the editing looks good. Make sure it's cleaned up nicely. You don't have any bad fonts or bad music. And finally, not making the most out of your video content. Video is expensive, so you have to make sure that you're making the most out of it, cut it into clips, make it evergreen, use it over and over again.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on this side of the camera. Those were all helpful tips. I think I've made all of them, so I may be dead.
We're actually both ghosts.
And you're hearing it first. So you've been listening to The Claw. It is the marketing podcast for C-suite executives. I'm Eric Holtzclaw, Chief Strategist with Liger Partners. I've been joined today by Ingrid Schmidt. She is our video production manager, and she is also our something quarterback.
AV quarterback.
AV quarterback, yes. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Claw podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, rate and review this podcast. And if you or someone you know wants to make an appearance on this show, email us at yourbestie@ligerpartners.com.